And of course, this is the new normal. How long will it be amongst us? We don't know. Only time will tell. And how exactly do we go back to doing things that we used to do pre-COVID times? For example, getting on the SGR and traveling to Mombasa. So what exactly are the measures that the SGR is going to be putting in place to ensure that these social distancing rules are adhered to, the guidelines that have been set by the Ministry of Health and by the government as well? For more details, Mercy Milanoy now joins us to give us the latest on what exactly is the way forward in these COVID-19 times. Milanoy?
Well, thank you, Shiksha, as you rightly put it. Now it's the new normal. And of course, even right now, the biggest conversation happening in government is how do we still continue with business while at the same time dealing with COVID-19? And one of the things that Kenyans are really expecting at the end of in a few days is the government easing up the COVID-19 measures. Of course, we've seen that there has been cessation, and of course with the curfews that have sort of interfered with traveling and also even with how business activities are done. But even as this conversation is going on, how are different sectors preparing themselves for post-COVID-19, or even how to continue with life normally while still dealing with COVID-19? Of course, one of the major sectors that will have a role to play is transport, keeping in mind a lot of people have been home. So how do we move from one place to another? And of course, SGR plays a key role as far as movement of goods and people are concerned. Now, to give me about the preparedness and also how business has been here, I'm joined now by Afrista General Manager Sami Gashuhi. Thank you so much for joining us. Since COVID-19 began, how has business been, considering you've only been having cargo trains moving around?
Business, thank you very much, Milanoy. The business started off a bit low. However, right now it has peaked. To Nairobi, we are doing an average of 13 trains daily. Naivasha has also opened up. We have had discussions with government. We are doing two trains on average daily. So we have been able to peak. There's a bit of a difference since then. Now, in addition to that, with the opening up, then we expect that passenger services will be starting. So what we've essentially done is we've put a team in place, and the team is working on the return to work formula on how we'll be able to bring back people in small numbers, just to ensure that we abide with the rules of the government in terms of the spread of the epidemic.
And I know right now people are waiting to move around, and of course, how are you planning to manage the numbers of the passengers who will be coming here?
As soon as the government announces and they lift the cessation and give us the new timings for the curfew, if that will then be adjusted, then we'll have to follow the rules that have already been set by the government in terms of keeping distance and ensuring that we don't spread the epidemic.
How are you planning to manage in terms of ticketing, while still adhering to the COVID-19 measures of social distancing?
The plan is, because we know the capacity of our trains, we'll only be able to open up the seats available to just ensure that we maintain to the social distancing, and we'll have to maintain the same numbers that were already agreed upon, and that is what we'll be able to open to the public.
Currently, one of the biggest conversations happening is the Naivasha ICD. Of course, we know that it will help transporters to cut the distance they cover. So, currently, how many trains are you doing to Naivasha ICD, and is it convenient?
Currently, we are doing 2 trains on a daily basis. This is as per the agreement that we had with the government of Kenya. So far, we have had enough cargo coming in. As an organization, we have enough capacity, we have enough assets, and if the number increases, then we'll be able to ensure that we have enough trains taking the cargo to ensure that the region has the cargo that it requires at all times.
Okay. Lastly, what are some of the things that Kenyans should look out for once they're able to travel, once the approvals are made for travel?
We'll be putting up the announcements on the number of seats that will be available. Once the announcement comes in, depending on the timings, we'll see whether we'll be able to run 4 trains on a daily basis or 2 trains. So as soon as we get the notice from the government, we'll be able to share it out with the public.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sami, for speaking to us. We will speaking to Sami Gishui, who is the general manager at Afrista, which is the operating company for SGR. Now, the last time we were here, of course, they were looking at social distancing and, of course, even for travelers, how they're traveling. But as of now, since the cessation, only cargo trains have been able to move around. And right now, basically, it's preparations for post-COVID-19 or even post-curfews and even cessation. How will they be able to manage? And, of course, even for transport, will be quite key. It will be quite an important sector that we'll be looking at, even as we look at the movement of goods and services. So basically, the operating company at SGR here is simply getting ready to be able to see how they can manage the numbers. And of course, even as the general manager has rightly put it, is that they'll only be able to avail tickets that will be able to fit in the number of tickets that will be able to observe the social distancing, keeping in mind that if you're sitting on a seat, you have to keep one seat apart from the person who is seated next to you. So of course, these are some of the logistics that the SGR managing company will be looking at to see how they can manage the numbers, and of course even avail tickets according to the numbers that they'll be able to observe social distances. So Shiksha, it will be quite interesting to see how this will be played out. A lot of Kenyans are looking forward to the June of 6. Hope we'll have some good news. But of course, the business community has maintained that it's ready for business, and of course, they're looking forward to see how they can facilitate for the ease of movement of passengers and goods. And we'll be keeping you up to date on more of this story in our subsequent bulletins. And of course, keeping in mind also with the Senate committee that is also meeting as far as the logistics of the Naivasha ICD is concerned. Currently, from the SGR operating company, we've had that there are 2 trains currently going there. And then, of course, the main goal, even when President Uhuru Kenyatta was here a few months ago launching the freight service train, was to cut the distance and, of course, to provide convenience for logistics companies and also for truck drivers when they're picking their goods. So we're here to come up with all this. I will be here to see all this information come up, and, of course, keeping you up to date and giving you a more comprehensive story in our subsequent bulletins. Back to Shiksha.
Thank you very much for that update. Of course, Masi Milanoy from the SGR.